Okay. So basically, you must have heard of Tale of Two Cities with Charles Dickens. Like he mentions, Charles Dickens mentioned, the best of times and the worst of times. This is true with any startup. There are always best of times when people get recognition, they achieve certain things, and there are also worst of times when, especially when they go to venture capitalists, like the one who's just talking to that, who refuses the money. That's a very disappointing thing for them, but they have to keep going. So those are the things which are very, very common for most of the startups. Next slide, please. I just wanted to, I'm a very family-oriented man. I like to put my family out there. So you have on the left, my wife who's sitting there. She's the heart of the family. And on the right is myself. Nothing much to mention about that person. Then I have these three daughters. The first daughter is Allam, who's next to my wife. She has a startup called Sign-On Nanosciences. Sign-On, in Greek mythology, was a Greek soldier who got into a Trojan horse. And the Trojan horse passed through the gate, and he came out and attacked. So she uses carbon nanoparticle as a Trojan horse mechanism to deliver drugs across the blood-brain barrier. I'll talk about it in more detail. Next to her is Allam, who's a material scientist. She works on clean technology, and I'll talk about her. The third one, who is, of course, all of them are my favorites, but she's the most favorite of mine. She's a politician. Yeah. She ran for Congress when she was 28. She almost won, she lost, because she took a very strong position, and she takes a strong position on the issue of Palestinian rights. So she was approached by AIPAC and said, if you take back your statements, we'll support you. Otherwise, we're going to support your opponent, who was a very strong candidate, 65-year-old North Carolina senator. She said, I'm not going to take back. And she lost $3.5 million of their funding. And she's happy about it, no problem. But she is an elected official. She's a Durham County Commissioner, and she's also the chair. She recently, every time Kamala Harris comes to Raleigh, she invites her to meet her, and then she goes with the two kids, carries her two kids, and introduces them. And I keep telling her, look, this is what Nehru used to do, when Indira Gandhi was young, he used to take her and get involved in all the political process. Of course, she doesn't know much about Nehru, but I have to tell her. Anyways, let's move on to the next slide. So let me come here. So it's better to talk through this slide here. Both these companies, how many of you know about nanotechnology? So far we have been talking about AI. Great. Just to ask, what is a nanometer? Does anybody know? It's 1 millionth of a meter. Do you know the size of a red blood corpuscle? It's 80,000 nanometers. Our field works with the nanoparticle, which is 80 nanometers to 100 nanometers. The red blood corpuscle is 80,000 nanometers. The carbon nanoparticle she works with is 80 to 120 nanometers. So what she has done, she wanted to do a study abroad program. And I said, you're going to India. Because she had plans of going to Australia or Europe. I said, no, you're going to India. Papa, I heard there are a lot of lizards in India. I said, this is the time for you to make friendship with lizards. I said, get used to that. And she said, where do I apply? Figure it out. I told try some IITs. She managed to find a professor in IIT Kanpur. And she worked out a study program, and she went there. She spent time there. And she came back, and she has to write a report. She showed me the report. She was about 19 years old at that time. I saw the report. By this time I had learned the technique to patent in IBM. I ended up patenting 17 patents, so I knew what is patentable, what is not patentable. So I said, Afri, this has something which is unique. You need to patent this. What she had discovered is, of course, with the guidance of Dr. Sarkar, Sabyasachi Sarkar, was a carbon dot. At that time it was 20 nanometers in size. It was water soluble and it fluoresces. So it's non-toxic. So we filed for a patent. When she was 21, she had her first patent. And then she never looked back. And then for 7 years, she used to go to Duke Cancer Center, especially those who have lost all the hope of any cure. She was asked to go. She was going there. She used to go every day there. And one day, and there was this young person who had not many days to live. And instead of her job was to cheer him up. Instead, he used to say, look at the nature outside, so how beautiful it is and all this stuff. And then she had her midterm exam, she never went back. She went back after her midterm exam. She walked into the room, there was somebody else in the room. And then she went to the coordinator and asked what happened. And the person said he passed away. So for the next few days, she was very, very quiet. She used to come, and we used to spend time at the dinner table talking. And she said, Papa, like any other parent would like this, the first option is to do medicine, right? She said, I'm not going to do medicine. I want to find a cure. I don't want people to suffer from chemotherapy. I want to find a way of delivering the drug to a targeted site without much toxic effect. And that's what I'm going to work on. And then in the meantime, she gets her first patent. And then she says, okay, since then she's got 3 more patents done. She's got 4, and then 5th is coming in EU. So basically what she did with this patent, each progress, the first patent was 20 nanometers. She found out she cannot put many drugs inside that. It's too small a payload. She developed a method to produce nanoparticles which are 80 to 120 nanometers. And then what happened? She has a very nice approach to convince people to do work free. There was a neurologist at UNC Chapel Hill. She approached him, look, can you do some work for me? What is it? I have this nanoparticle, I want to test it out. I said, look, I'm a neurologist, I can test this out in the for CNS areas. Okay, why don't you test it out? So he tests it out. Then he phones her, and she said, why don't you come, I have to show you something. Then she takes me with him, and she said, Papa, come along. So we go there. This person, the German professor, he was like a kid. He said, I've never seen anything in my life pass through the blood-brain barrier and enter the brain. So blood-brain barrier is a protection around your brain, which prevents drugs to pass through. That is the reason why there is not a good cure for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease and other things, because they cannot get most of the drugs to pass through the blood-brain barrier. And he said, I found it, and he said, not only that, I found some of them close to the neurons. And he said, look, I had a few animals, I've done it, you're on your own now. Anyway, so she continued, and she said, she met a professor in Duke Tumor Center. He said, look, the thing about cancer or any disease, the microenvironment has different pH values. You know what a pH is, right? Acidic or alkaline. So, in a tumor environment, the pH value is acidic, around 6. From 6 to 6.8 or 5 to 6.8. So you have to tune your new nanoparticles so that they can open and close. Open in the pH value of the range required for the tumor and stay closed in the range where they should not be releasing the payload. And she got a patent for that. pH-based release, tunable pattern, tunable pattern. And then what she did was, the next what she wanted to do was she wanted to, encapsulate. Another thing is most of the nanoparticles today, what do? They attach the drug to the surface of the nanoparticle, except LNPs, lipid nanoparticle, which is used in micro RNAs. It's encapsulated inside. So she encapsulates the drug inside the nanoparticle. So the drug is not exposed as it's passing through the biological system. It doesn't degrade. So that's another advantage. First, she has water-soluble, non-toxic, passes through the blood-brain barrier, it's tunable, and now she can encapsulate the drugs. She gets another pattern. And then what she says is, Papa, I have to get some business degree. I have enough of this microbiology thing. She applies to Duke. I said, okay, what's your plan B? I don't have any plan B. What if you don't get in Duke? I will get it. That's her favorite school. She managed to get it. Then they have a competition. Startup challenge, and she wins the first prize there. And then she wins another first prize later on. And I will talk about it in the next thing. So now what she's doing is she's talking to this pediatric brain tumor center chief surgeon, Jerry Grant, and they are working on testing his particular molecule encapsulated as it is treated as a rare disease. So hopefully it will pass through the FDA approval faster. She's working on that. And the other thing she's looking at the options are, a lot of these drugs that, which are in the market have an expiry date because the patents expire. She's talking to those people few years before they expire. Look, if you give your drug, I'll encapsulate it, it becomes a new formulation. When it becomes a new formulation, you can extend the patent life. And then she's also approaching those companies who have drugs which failed in the clinical trials because of the toxicity. And she's going to tell them, look, I encapsulate the drug, so it will minimize your toxicity. So why not, work with me? And I know I will encapsulate the drugs for you, and hopefully your drugs can pass through the clinical trials. That's Afreen. Let me go to Arshid, my other daughter, who started a company called GoLeaf. She also had some connection in India. She went to India. One of her relatives used to live in Hyderabad. So one of the relatives says, about 40 miles from here, there is a village. And in that village, a lot of kids have bone deformity. It's because of fluoride content. She said, I want to see that. I want to go and see that. So they took her there. And then she went and saw all these kids, deformed, and the parents are very sad and all. She said, I think I should work in the area of water purification. And she started. And now, why did we go there? So previous page please. So what she did was, she developed her nanoparticle using the same technology but modified it from wood shavings. This wood, when you think the shaving, from that she's extracted graphene. And the sugar cane, after we extracted the juice, You throw her, she extracted graphene from there. And then she approached this mining company in North Dakota. They have huge mines. And they have this very, very low-grade coal, which is a throwaway. She extracted graphene. And the waste pan company approached her, can you do, she extracted graphene from waste pan. So basically from readily available, cheap sources, economically friendly, clean technology. Graphene to be used in clean technology. She has got a few patents as well. Now what she's doing, now she's developed a method. You know, what happened was she got a grant from Department of Energy, $250,000 grant from the Department of Energy. So they allowed her to use the grant to use the facilities at Adbul lab in Chicago, just outside Chicago, and use any third-party consultant. So she's used a retired NASA scientist to develop a method which uses robotic manipulator, because her process is very labor-intensive. And there's a lot of steps where you can have human error occurring. So what she did was, this company had this vision control system which monitors the color change, temperature, not really vision control sensors, but different sensors, pH change and everything else, and informs the manipulator. And the manipulator moves the system from one station to the other. And she has developed that. And now what she wants to do is, her target is supercapacitors. How many of you know what is a supercapacitor, what is a battery? Batteries can store a large amount of energy. Supercapacitor can store less energy but give a huge boost. You know, when you start a Tesla, zoom, it takes off in the first few seconds. It's because of the supercapacitor capability. So her objective is to build a supercapacitor, which she has already built. And the prototype, there are two companies which are leaders in the world, Maxwell and Skeleton in Europe. Their supercapacitors provide about 10 to 15,000 kilowatts power. Her first generation product, 16,000 kilowatts. And the next generation is going to be 22 kilowatts. Both of them were working with IIT Kanpur. Since Professor has retired, they have moved their shop to IIT Tirupati, because it's very convenient to go from Chennai to IIT Tirupati. And she's also collaborating. You know what she wants to do is, she wants to build, she's been approached by a data center. I want you to build a UPS based on supercapacitors. Because the current UPSs are based on lead-acid batteries, which are huge footprint. And the advantage of the supercapacitor is you can recycle, charge and recycle, charge and recycle. She has achieved 500,000 cycles. The best of best lithium-ion batteries, you can charge and recycle 10 to 15,000 times. After that, you got to throw it away. So the cost of ownership of using UPS-based supercapacitors is significant. So she's talking to those people. And they do all the marketing. I do their IP stuff and the R&D stuff. Next slide, please. So these are all good things, you know, two sisters using same technologies, but different directions for different applications. Now, the one on the right is Afeen, who won the Startup Challenge in Duke. And 2 months ago, there's a big biotech conference in San Diego, where companies from all over the world come. And 43 companies or 47 companies were chosen to present. She won the first prize there. And NCIDEA, the Duke Challenge lady who wrote the check, before she was presenting, she said, I don't believe in biotech companies. I invest always in IT companies because the return is faster. And she said, the moment I heard, I thought I lost my chance. And then when they were about to announce the prices, I'm running out of time. Because the good news is I have a few slides, but the bad news I talk a lot. So basically what happened was, when they announced the price, the lady who came to announce the price was the one who wrote the check. And she's the one who said, I don't believe in biotech. And she announced her name, Allam, and she won the startup challenge at Duke. So there's a lot, and she also made Forbes' next 1,000 list. Now, Asheen, this daughter, she's on Forbes 30 under 30. Same year, Afreen was also on the finalist of 30 under 30. Her date of birth was October 28, 1988. So basically she should not be 30 by the December 31st. She got disqualified. Others, two sisters would have got Forbes 30 under 30. And she has won a lot of clean technology, clean energy prizes. Most of the work they have been doing is through these prize monies and through friends and family rounds. That has been their source. Okay, next, and then Argon Lab is very, very keen in promoting her. She's now developing, in conjunction with Argon Lab, a low energy, highly efficient water desalination membrane using graphene. Because there's a shortage. Because remember, she went to India, she saw this shortage of water problem is still in her mind. She wants to do something. Afreen, same thing. She saw the person suffering from chemotherapy. She wants to do something to help the mankind. So both of them went to Duke. Both of them did their MBAs from Duke. The challenge they faced was that their colleagues who graduated were getting huge salaries. Startup salaries, and they were giving up that salary to keep their vision going. They wanted to succeed in what they were doing. So two parts, one legacy, breaking boundaries in innovation and leadership. That is their goal. That's what they want to do. So next page, please. We're coming close to the end. Well, all this is good. There are a lot of good things happening, but there are also challenges. They have to face these challenges, especially in today's environment. Investment money is not abundant. The statistics are, if you're a woman, the chances of you getting investment money is 10%. Did you know that? For every 10 companies who apply, 9 which get investment are male-owned. Only 1 will be female-owned. That's a big challenge for them. The other challenge for them, for both of them, they're young. They're not in IT field, and they all both wear hijab. Hijab is another barrier, but they don't care. But they don't care because in the previous slide they won all the awards. People don't care, so they're overcoming all those barriers. And they don't want to keep going, And there are, of course, a lot of invisible barriers, landscapes. They're learning through hard work and resilience to break through these barriers. And how do they try to break through barriers? Building bridges, building relationships with partners, relationships with labs, relationships even with competitors. Approaching the company to look, you have a product, yeah. So for example, I give this. I'm running out of time, right? Did you deduct the time you took away from me? No, sorry. So I'm finishing. So basically, one more thing I will tell you about the lipid nanoparticle. There's a lot of talk about it, right? It needs special storage capabilities. Your carbon nanoparticle carrying a drug can restore your room temperature. Next slide and the last slide. Again, I'm a family man. This is my family. The 3 daughters, their children, their husbands. And now they are part of DB family, extended DB family. Thank you very much.